Hello, welcome to Framework. I am Al Schwartz. With me, as always, is John Bernard.
Hey, it's me. Good morning.
We're here to talk about Task, the HBO crime drama with Mark Ruffalo and Tom Pelfrey.
Others. Mark Ruffalo and others.
Yeah. The biggest thing this show has going for it is this cast is pretty incredible. The performances going about 8 or 9 deep down the call sheet are all pretty remarkable, in my opinion.
Okay. I think that some of them were excellent. I'm not as taken by the ensemble, I think, as you are, honestly.
I think, Tom Pelfrey was kind of a revelation for me here because I've never seen him in anything before.
Me neither.
I guess he'd had a prominent role on Ozark, perhaps, is from what I hear.
That's what I hear.
Never watched that show. I thought he, really jumped out here. All of the British people doing the Delco accents, they're remarkable. The women playing Maeve and Lizzie, they have, sort of down the middle British names that I might mix up, but I think one of them's Amelia Jones and one of them is Alison. Nope, not Stover. That's a character name.
Right.
But it's Alison something Smith.
Wilmot? Is it Wilmot?
I don't know.
I was looking at this. I've been watching this, in a white heat. I finished Task this morning before we recorded this. The last 3 episodes I was behind, so I was doing some massive Task catch up and kind of as I watched, checking on my phone, trying to get my my information right for this cast, and it's Alison Oliver. Alison Wilmot is somebody else. Yes, she was excellent. I have no complaints about her. She was actually incredible. I thought it was a late revelation that she was British, and I was just like, oh wow, she was the most Delco of them all. I thought
that's. From Kate Winslet back in Mare of Easttown on down, it seems like the Brits somehow have an easier path into this particular accent than some Americans do. I thought Fabian Frankel was also great. Another Brit.
Yeah. He had residual House of the Dragon baggage from me, so I knew he was British, I suppose. And was also a guy I was I think 2 for 2 now on HBO shows where I think I like him a little less than I'm supposed to.
Maybe I would say my only knock on him is that he does of everybody on the show, he's the only one who feels kind of like, okay, here is a central casting Hollywood actor doing a role, whereas everybody else kind of feels like somebody you could encounter in the suburbs of Philadelphia.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe the girl who plays Maeve is the best looking girl you're going to see that night out, but on the human spectrum. And Fabian Frankel is a gorgeous male model of a face.
Mm-hmm. My thing with him is I never could buy that he was a good guy.
I think that's very much in the design of the character.
Well, I don't know. I think they want you to think he's a good guy, ultimately. Despite his flaws, despite the thing that's going on with him. I think they want you to think this is one of the good guys on the show for a while, at least.
Well, okay, this is something,
We're just really diving into, we haven't talked anything about what Task is. We haven't,
but
maybe
whatever.
It's a little, right?
It's spoilers. Who's current, the season's ended, who's coming in having watched 2 episodes being like, yeah, well, I'm sure they won't possibly spoil anything on this podcast episode titled Task Season 1 or whatever.
Right. There's no Season 2 of Task. Come on, this is a classic HBO miniseries, right?
There is some,
there could be
rumblings about it. I think maybe it's just something maybe you have to say these days. You have to at least say you're entertaining it, or else it's to not do so would be tacitly admitting failure of some kind. It doesn't make any sense. I think it would have to be an ensemble or an anthology type of thing, a la True Detective. I would be much more interested in seeing Task given the True Detective treatment than I am seeing True Detective get that treatment as it happens.
Oh, I think birds of a feather, surely. Honestly, this feels a little bit like a sort of a Delco sequel in spirit to Mare of Easttown. A little bit.
Oh, very much so.
That's the continuity that I'm tracking here. Well, that and just the general crime miniseries thing that HBO has been doing for the last 10 to 15 years. It's certainly in lineage with that, things like The Night of and I don't know. There've been dozens.
And all
of
the
these.
True Detectives, yeah.
Yeah, all the True Detectives. And so, even unto The Wire a little bit, going back. I mean, this is doing some Wire stuff that I appreciated. It's not quite Wire, but it's
nothing is.
No.
I rewatched the first season of The Wire recently, actually, as it happens. That's a hell of a show.
Absolutely.
And yes, they all owe something to that. They all want to capture a bit of that. I would say what Marin Task, their lineage with The Wire is just that the sense of place that they capture, I think, better than
Big part of it.
The True Detective stuff ever did. You know, The Night of, now that I think back to that, that's been several years, but I feel like at the beginning of that show, when it was really working, it kind of felt like it was capturing some kind of like New York vibes. And then it got a bit lost in the sauce of too much plot, is what it felt like.
Mm-hmm. I actually am hard pressed to find any of these that I really like. I mean, the HBO crime series is now that of the modern age. I mean, starting with The Night of, let's say, roughly, these have never been my favorite thing. I like them more often than not, but I don't know if I could really say they've ever been my total vibe. I think the closest is probably the first season of True Detective, and that's probably just because it has, like, you know, fucking Lovecraft stuff in it. You know, I'm a dork for that sort of thing.
But did you not feel hoodwinked by that in the end? Were you?
No.
Did you come out of that still positive on it, or okay? Yeah.
No, because I was liking all the other things it did. Those are two great movie star performances, and it does have a philosophical underpinning that is influenced and complemented by the Lovecraftian stuff, or you know, technically not Lovecraft. Was it Robert Chambers is the thing they're drafting on? It's cosmic horror stuff though, and you know, I ultimately I think it probably would have lessened the show if Cthulhu had showed up at the end. I think ultimately it had to be it's called True Detective, for God's sakes.
Certainly, I guess that question was more about how if it was just that Lovecraft stuff that was keeping you invested, then you could be mad about it legitimately at the end. But yeah, so there's more going on with that.
Yeah. That's a great season of TV. I really do believe that. I think that's a terrific season. And I think you're less warm on that one than I am, right?
I think it's a good season of TV. I think it's one of the most overrated pieces of media that's existed, because that is like first ballot Hall of Fame for a lot of people, and I'm just like, I don't know. You got a couple of good performances there, but I think it's interesting to contrast sort of what we have here, the Brad Inglesby cinematic universe that he's building up, you know, because it's easy. There's not an official like crossover between Mayor of Easttown and Task, but it's pretty easy to imagine them all living in the same world. And if we get a second season of Task, or whether it's titled something else, but it's also a crime thing set in this, you know, color counties of Philadelphia.
Well, I want that now. I want a third. Yeah. There's got to be a trilogy of these now.
Right. Well, I think that contrasts to True Detective in a way. It's what you were getting at earlier about how, this show does want us to think Grosso is one of the good guys eventually. And I do think that that's the hallmark of the Inglesby approach is it's pretty soft-hearted in the end. Mm-hmm. It is both Mayor and this are very concerned with like very Catholic ideas of forgiveness.
There's forgiveness for all of their characters essentially in this. Maybe not some of the total Black Hat Sons of Anarchy characters, but
it does have room for pure villains for the good guys to shoot to, you know.
Right.
Darth Vader needs an emperor to throw down the reactor shaft to complete his arc.
But even the old guy, what's his name?
Jamie McShane.
Jamie McShane. I forget the character's name, but yeah, there's compassion for that character, which I was having none of, frankly.
Yeah, I can kind of understand that. The show does have a little bit of sympathy for him, even though I don't know. It was clear to me that's like sympathy that was never going to extend to like not killing him.
He gets his for sure. Yeah. But you would need to spend that much time with a character, which honestly is a thing I kind of bump up in a lot of these shows, is when they give us a lot of time to sort of humanize the sort of central monster of the narrative, and I never cotton to them. I never really. I'm thinking of Top of the Lake right now, which I don't think is even HBO, but it's the same kind of show.
Certainly, Mayor of Easttown is in the same lineage as those Broadchurch, top of the lake type of things.
But even that show is like, it is about a murderer of women, and there's more complicated than that. Obviously, it's not a serial killer, as it turns out, but but it is, in a true detective lineage. This is much less that, because we know everyone who did everything the whole time. This is doing a heat thing more than that.
Much more, compared to Mayor of Easttown, which was a whodunit. This did not have that angle. We know who's doing everything all the way through this. And turns out to be less of a heat thing too, because it's not like there's, 30 or 40 minutes of heat after De Niro's killed.
Sure.
Sorry, we're spoiling Task and Heat today.
Oh, come on.
And Top of the Lake.
Well, not as such yet, but maybe later. It is, though, a split perspective, cops and crooks. We're looking at this from all angles, which I guess is a Wire thing, too. That's why this explicitly felt so much like The Wire, that and the location specificness of it. It wasn't doing the next level Dickens thing, per se. It was much more of a crime thriller of a show. But it's taking cues, and it's interested in all these angles of the thing. And in pairing with this with Mayor of Easttown, which I find impossible not to do, it does feel like they're kind of building up an interconnected world. And that's why I say I want them to do at least one more in this region.
Yeah, I mean, you could do a Mayor of Easttown season 2, actually, and it just so happens that, you get really cute and have her get assigned to a detail, and Ruffalo's taken over Martha Plimpton's role and is running it from the desk, and Aaliyah is sort of the head of it that is butting heads with Mayor. But I think that's too cute. I think you could also just 3 years from now do another kind of crime thing in the general vicinity with similar vibes, and that would be fine.
Still, I don't know, Kate Winslet and Mark Ruffalo, you could do worse.
Nice.
And I like both those performances very much. Ruffalo's great in this. Another great Ruffalo.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's the 6th or 7th best performance in this for me. But I think a lot of, again, I guess I'm softer on Frankel and his big pretty eyes than you are. But okay, we're talking about this a lot, the whole lineage of HBO crime stuff. But we're kind of notably leaving out pretty much the grandfather of them all, which is The Sopranos.
I mean, that's almost, I don't even think of it in the same kind of thing. But I guess, it's a crime.
Me neither. But I'm trying to figure out, why is that? Why are we omitting that? But we are including The Wire, which is of that earlier era, The Sopranos. And I think what, for me, makes these shows feel like a completely different era than those is that softness. That what The Wire and The Sopranos have in common is this really deep, dark cynicism.
Oh yeah,
and that is not Inglesby's thing. I'm not saying it would be better if he tried to emulate that. True Detective kind of splits the difference. It kind of goes for the happy ending, but really wallows in the pessimism for everything, and then tries to tack a happy ending on it, which doesn't, I guess, quite land for me.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, there's a baroqueness, I think, certainly to True Detective, but also to The Sopranos in its way. In that there is it's a little more theatrical. It's a little bit more composed, and not adverse to a clever turn of phrase. There's some
sitcom in The Sopranos DNA.
Yeah, This is a lot more
not in Task.
No, Task is deliberately realistic as best it can be. There's very little in the way of comic relief in Task or any sort of cleverness to the writing that I tend to associate with this sort of stuff. It's good writing, it's good dialogue, but the characters are never saying anything in constructed ways. It's very terse.
Well, I mean, some of the situations are fairly heightened.
Well, this is the thing. Because it's doing Sons of Anarchy stuff at the same time.
But on the domestic side of it, if The Sopranos has some family sitcom in its DNA on the domestic side, Task and Mayor have Harold Pinter or something. It's like stage play.
Sure.
I'm not familiar enough with Pinter to really know if I'm misusing that there, but it's serious drama. It's Steppenwolf theater drama.
No, it is. I take your meaning, but it doesn't really allow for that sort of cleverness because it really wants you to take these characters seriously and have empathy for them as real people, top to bottom for the most part, and that is sometimes at odds for me with we got motorcycle gangs. This is a justified plot. Like if you took a look at the things that happen in this season of television, it could easily work on a much pulpier show, but that is not the aspirations of Task. It is
very true.
It is kind of trying to be all of it at once. A very realistic season of Justified, but there's no cleverness to the writing or colorful characters to the side. These guys are all going to be, well, no, what's the reality of the Pennsylvania biker skinheads? I guess they're technically never Nazis, right? Like, despite all the tats, we never really get into that. I kind of kept thinking.
No, it just feels like there's not really, there's not really room for it here. It doesn't you could read into it, but it wouldn't really affect their pursuit of this white guy that is robbing them in any way. So, and who's, coming at them sort of from the inside,
right,
through his brother's connection. So it wouldn't even make that much more sense to have him be, more like, they had the Freddy Frias character, which was a fun name for a character that only got to be on 2 scenes. I guess you could have spun something more out of that in that other version. But I take your meaning. Yes, the plot here is very, very pulpy, and yet it spins away from the pulp of that plot. And does that bother you? I wonder if sort of binging the last half of the season and the last 24 hours is the worst way. That could be the worst way to imbibe that, given
that aspect of it, I could see, yes, be more pronounced the way I did it. But I don't know, this all carried. I wasn't like upset to go through it. It all moved pretty quick once I got into a groove with it. It was it was a pretty good straight shot of Task, and one thing carries to the next. It never got boring. I was a little slow to catch up with it through the season. I've been busy this month, but it wasn't grasping me in its clutches the way some of these do. I do have to admit that, but I got there by the end. I was invested, especially in the cop side of things, I would say. I think some of them were incredible. A lot of them, all that really was really good stuff. I loved all of Ruffalo's sad domestic life. I was getting slight one battle after another vibes from his relationship with his adopted daughter. It was good. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. That is, I guess you're saying the lack of pulpiness there means that even though this heightened stuff's happening, all the guys are just in a competition to see who can have the saddest eyes. And Ruffalo,
he's getting the inside track.
Not exactly a dark horse candidate. Yeah, he was right there, but Pelfrey gave him a run, like put up a fight.
Oh, but the scenario they give Ruffalo, I think he's unbeatable if you give him this backstory.
No, I concur. And they called their shot early on that we're going to sort of end this season with him giving this statement. It's going to be very emotional. The court statement actually is one thing that did not hit me as hard as it seems to have some other critics.
Well, it's a called shot, as you said. Like there's no way the show didn't end with some version of that. It might have been the daughter presenting it, that could have happened, but we were going to see that thing in court. No question.
I don't know if it's pulpier, but there's a bigger ways to do that, where the daughter could have got up to give her statement and gotten overcome with emotion, and Ruffalo has to step up and pat her on the back and then do an off-the-cuff version of the speech. He didn't even, fold up his prepared notes and put it in his pocket to
I was ready for
from
it.
the heart.
Yeah.
But this show is too realistic for that. It's like, no, this guy he really would write it down and need that crutch to get through this. I was listening to an interview with Inglesby just now, actually, and he talked about that talking to Ruffalo specifically about that. Like, no, we're not going to do the thing where he puts it away. But I think for me, this is the one bit of the season that didn't fully land, partly because I guess I didn't find the stakes of whether or not he forgives his adopted son, that high.
Okay. Well, I kind of agree with you, but Ruffalo's so fucking sad. You know, I can't.
He is, yes.
I can't help but be engaged with sad Ruffalo in this, and yeah, that's a shitty hand you got dealt, man. That's a rough one. That's a really sad situation, and you know.
Yeah, I felt for in the scenario. I think when I talk about like the emotional stakes of it, it's if he had not forgiven his son somehow, even though that was never real. I mean, I know from watching Mare of Easttown, well, that's enough like to know that that's not how this is going. But like, if he had somehow just not forgiven his son, been like, can't forgive it, can't do it, I wouldn't think really any less of the character. I'm like,
I kind of wish
nice
that had happened, frankly.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of wish that had happened. It felt like that would have been a little more honest, sadly. But I mean, I don't know. I get the sense he did it largely for the daughter's benefit. You know.
Yeah. And he's a former Catholic priest. He's got like deep-seated beliefs around the concept of forgiveness with a capital F and all that.
I think the problem for me, honestly, was that I had a hard time totally accepting that he blamed the son as much as they're telling us he did. I mean, that's really a bit of a reveal, honestly, at the point when he's drunk and talking about it with his other daughter. And and it's like, oh, yeah, he isn't over it, actually, because he'd made all the indications he was, talking about missing.
He was ready to go back to work type over it.
Well, yeah, sure. Regardless, you knew where this was going, unless he got killed, which I guess was always an option. Like he never felt totally safe. He never felt like he had total plot armor.
Oh, I disagree. I thought he did because until I was like, well, he's got to give that statement. Like that's
it could have been the daughter. Could have been the daughter. You know, that's the thing. I don't know how that would have landed emotionally if Ruffalo's character's dead and she has to. I'm not sure how that resolves, but it could have been some version of that. But then once the other lead of the show kind of exited a little early, but then
then he's got the plot.
Yeah, then Ruffalo's going to make it to the end. Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I do think it's nice that he is able to forgive the son in some fashion, but. If he hadn't, like I said, I'd be like, okay, I get that. That doesn't mean you're a bad guy. That doesn't mean you're a funny guy. That is an incredible ask to get over something like that. And if you didn't, you gave it a good, honest try with adopting these kids. And I'm not going to think worse of you. But like I said, it's nice. I don't know why I'm being curmudgeon about that.
Well, no, I mean, it's just maybe because it's a little prescribed, you know? It's a little bit like, well, you know, you're not going to end this in a negative way. You know, an anti-adoption message is not the goal of this. So, like, you know, if you end it that way, I don't know what the point is other than like, no, he was broken by it and didn't really get over it. And solving this crime didn't help at all. It's just a thing that happened to a broken man. It's just not much of a story.
It just pivots from Heat into Manchester by the Sea.
So, yeah, I mean, it kind of has to end that way in a sense. If, of course, he survives the activities of the story, the actual narrative of Task, and he handily does. That said, he's so good in every scene. Like, he really is the engine that keeps this thing going for me. I get the sense for you, it was Mr. Pelfrey.
Pelfrey, Amelia Jones, Alison Oliver, are all.
Alison Oliver's so good.
I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, the ensemble, sure.
Yeah. All the groups. And, you know, I think Frankel's good. And I think McShane, I mean, it's funny to be like, I spent the first 2 episodes being like, I'm pretty sure this guy was a biker gang boss on Sons of Anarchy.
He was, yes.
And he was, yes. He did the Volpe version. Now he did the sad-eyed bastard stage play version.
Yeah.
You know, and Margarita Laviva was good in her sort of smaller part. Martha Plimpton was good. Like, yeah.
Nice to see.
People were bringing it.
She fit in really well to this world. I don't know, Jamie McShane, again, I'm kind of just like, just give me a real asshole there, please. I would be okay with that. Man, maybe have some bikers that aren't in their 50s. I don't know. Maybe that would have been okay.
Well, we had the younger guys, but they're not. Nobody's citing the guy who played Jason as like the linchpin of this cast.
No, he's a muscle guy, and this is the stuff I cared least about was their weird loyalty cucking situation, whatever was going on with these guys. I didn't care. I was like, you're gonna kill each other over some fucking the wrong person. Fine, do your thing. It was never really my interest in that, and I think kind of wasted time, honestly. If I have a negative plot line of the whole season, it's those guys, and largely because they fucking reminded me so much of Sons of Anarchy, probably.
That's a big part of it. Yeah. If anything, I come out and feeling we had too many scenes between just Jason and Perry. If there's one thing we had too much of, because they're never at their most interesting interacting with each other.
Nope.
Jason is an ochre for the other people to evade or fight against, and Perry's got some stuff going on, but whatever. We're also leaving out, I think in the early going, there's some good performances too. The guy who played Cliff, Robbie's friend that got killed horribly was good. The non-reformed convict who does rec league basketball, like just what an amazing face on that guy. And even like the dead meat guy, the third wheel of their robbery crew that gets shot in the first episode, like that's just a brief great performance of like, okay, I know exactly who this person is 10 seconds into their first scene.
It starts really strong. This is I don't know, sometimes shows of this type, sort of seasons of television based around one case or one crime, that you can feel the treading water episodes in the middle kind of thing, or just that they don't have quite enough plot to cover the amount of episodes that they've got. This season, 7 episodes. So, already a little less than normal. And we're getting to plot twists and, things are landing and getting resolved much faster, than you realize. Like, they know who these guys are by like the 3rd episode. It's moving. This thing never really slowed down. And that was really cool.
Like, as much as, Heat was the touchstone we started with, it felt like they set up a whole Departed scenario early on. We're going to spend the whole season with both sides trying to ferret out who the mole on their side is. And then they're like both rats are uncovered by halfway through the 7-episode season.
Yeah, and that was great. And there was tension over who it was a little bit. I mean, I wasn't sure what they were going to do there. That was good.
Yeah, I thought we were going to spend the whole season revealing that it was actually Martha Plimpton was the mole, and it was not the first, we go from suspect to suspect, and then it's the person we never suspected. Except, but no,
they hinted at it a few times, but no, she was just Martha Plimpton. What's the character's name? The one who dies? The Allison.
More specific.
Right. Yeah.
Stover.
Stover.
Lizzie.
Uh-huh. I love this performance. I thought she was excellent. And this was something that I really liked that they captured very early on with this character. And it's not like a major plot line of the show at any point, but it's definitely a character beat that pays dividends with all the scenes she gets, which is everyone kind of realizes early on, including her, that she's the least qualified person there. And
yes.
the least able to keep up, and a bit of a liability as a result. And they're all just kind of like hoping it works out, essentially. And like they don't actually get to have the conversation with her about freezing in that action scene, and it ends up not mattering in the scheme of things, but it provides a really good tension to all of her scenes. And sort of informs the character, who's sort of an odd bird, honestly. Like the way she interacts with everyone throughout the show is a little strange and antisocial and awkward, but not in a sort of Hollywood way. It's unique, like the interaction with her original team at the bar. It just sort of implies a lot, but doesn't really nail anything down. That's great. I really enjoyed that, and this felt like one of the most sort of authentic and interesting characters on the show.
Very much so. I mean, she's one we can't bring back for Task Season 2 or whatever it might be.
She has a shocking death, yes. She's probably the last character I expected to get killed in that scene.
Yeah, exactly. So the show was able to surprise me for as much as I'm griping about certain called shots with Ruffalo. It did surprise me with stuff with the minor characters. And yeah, you said that performance is so just kind of bone deep into the way
Mhm.
that we go into that bar with her and she feels like a genuine part of this bar's ecosystem in a way that most great actors are just a little too Hollywood to ever pull off.
Well, that is, I guess, the benefit of having a cast of almost entirely people I don't know. Like, I mean, I had to go online basically to find everybody but Ruffalo and Plimpton here. Like, and I might recognize a face, sort of, and like,
well,
who's that guy?
I know that you immediately recognized the face of Raphael Sabarge when he showed up as Carasso's corrupt boss.
Yeah, well, I mean, the voice maybe more than the face, but yes.
Yeah, I know you squealed Caden Alenko at the screen.
Holding up okay. I mean, yeah, he's a fully, he can do that sort of thing. That's great.
The 10-episode version of this season would have still worked, I think, where we got sort of some more of that relationship between Grasso and him. Maybe it becomes too cute and too neat as a mirror, bad dad relationship that everybody's dealing with. But
get out before you wear out your welcome is always the best option, I think. The shows like this should always be shorter rather than longer, I feel like,
That is kind of the thing these days. Okay. Which kind of brings me to something I find interesting about this as an unofficial, sort of spiritual sequel to Mayor of Easttown.
Yeah.
Not picking up any direct plot threads or having crossovers, but this is the same creator working in the exact same area.
Yeah.
And if you like one, you're going to like the other. And there's been a few of the other shows and other genres on other networks that have kind of fallen into this for me now. One was The Paper on Peacock, which is the people who made The Office doing another mockumentary set in a workplace in a, minor Midwestern city. And it's just exactly the sort of style and tone of The Office. It does have, it has the Oscar character from The Office is on The Paper, but there's no important continuity. You don't need to watch The Office first to watch The Paper. But if you liked The Office, you will like The Paper. And the other one that I was watching recently is Long Story Short on Netflix, which is Raphael Bob Waksberg's animated family thing. It's animated in a very similar style to BoJack Horseman, which was the last big animated comedy he did on Netflix. And again, it's not in the same universe as that. There's no talking animals, whatever. It's a little more real world, but the comic sensibility and emotional sensibility, I suppose, so similar that it's definitely a spiritual sequel to it. And if you liked the first thing, you're going to like the second thing. It's not better than the original. The Paper's not better than The Office, but I mean, maybe season 9 of The Office or whatever, but, and I don't know that if Task is better than Mayor of Easttown, but I want to squint here and find something encouraging about how maybe the industry is pulling back a little from demanding, okay, you have to do an actual Office legacy sequel. You have to do an actual revival of the old show and not just give us something like that. Do your thing, but a new version of it. And that's becoming more acceptable maybe at practice, I hope.
That is encouraging. That is really encouraging, yes. I would like that. And this is what I always say about movies, frankly, you get a legacy sequel or whatever. I'm just like, could we please just have whatever the new Ghostbusters is, or whatever, that. Well, it's more of a problem in movies than TV. But but
movies or TV has the revival series problem too. That we've got to get bring back Frasier, bring back Roseanne, bring back Veronica Mars. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you get Better Call Saul out of that. What was the thing he tried to make? Vince Gilligan tried to make between Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. There was a show.
There was a cop show called Battle Creek.
That's the one. Yeah. And everyone was just like, "Fuck off." Do more Breaking Bad.
Better Call Saul was also one of his writers kind of started that without Gilligan being super heavily involved and Gilligan wasn't show running it at first, and then they were kind of co-showrunners later on. Right, that's right. Better Call Saul also, it's an anomalous in that it's a prequel rather than a years later revival, and it's sort of it did come out. They did put it into production right away, so it was more directly connected rather than the feeling of a boardroom flipping through the catalog and going, what do we have from 9 to 39 years ago that we can pull back? Yeah,
that's true. You get the sense that a lot of the below the line staff kind of just ported from one show in Albuquerque right over to the next, and has that continuity. which you can feel on screen in some ways. I am optimistic.
Task and Mare feel that way too, kind of.
Are they? I mean, they are a little bit separated by time in a way that wasn't.
Yeah, I
imagine the same people, like.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of the same people. I can't quantify that. I'm saying it feels
sure
of a piece.
Yeah,
I mean, Breaking Bad and Better Call also kind of fall into that Wire thing of they did develop a real sense of place in Albuquerque there.
Yeah, there's a lot more bullshit in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul than
Oh, of course. The pulpiness is there, yeah.
Yeah, He has a new show coming out that optimistically he's kind of taking the ball and running with it, doing his style of thing. Just in
You talking about Vince Gilligan?
Yeah. Pluribus, right, coming out real soon, which is the Rhea Seehorn show.
Oh, okay. I mean, they've obviously earned at least a look.
Exactly.
With their prior collaborations.
I think it might even be Albuquerque set. I'm not 100% sure about that, but it is not.
Is it a crime thing?
I think it's a sci-fi thing, and is definitely not connected to Breaking Bad. It's a different character that she's playing. So
that's not going to fit in the thesis with the other like showrunners I'm talking about doing the same thing. But
I suspect it'll have his voice though. Like Vince Gilligan is, if nothing, if we have TV auteurs, he's one of them. In the Joss Whedon style.
I guess, and maybe this is just his effect, like hearing him in interviews and talk about like over the years between Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, I've seen a lot, listened to and read a lot of interviews with him and his staff, and he is such a collaborator. And so much of the staff of those shows have built up were, writing assistants that he pulled up through the ranks and made into head writers by the end of the run, and then getting their own spinoffs and so forth. And so I don't know that he wouldn't take as much credit as Joss Whedon or maybe even David Chase would for their particular voice.
Well, maybe when I'm saying Vince Gilligan, I am referring to a kind of a collective group that has coalesced around him, and then that has the continuity as well, which I assume would be true of this as well, and probably the Mike Schur comedies and all the sort of.
Right. They're an industry as much as they are an auteur's voice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, more so than movies for certain. And it's even true of movies too. So, yeah, I mean, we're talking in generalities, I guess.
No, I mean, I hope you're right about Pluribus. It just, Gilligan has not leapt outside of the Albuquerque thing in so long. It's that, which is kind of, a tragedy of American culture. Kind of. It seemed like that was such a promising thing.
Well, I mean, the results haven't been anything less than stellar. I mean, both those Albuquerque crime shows were excellent. They were nailed it. So, I mean, there's so many reasons Better Call Saul shouldn't have worked, and it very much did the whole way through. So,
I was being sort of facetious with tragedy there. I just meant that. It seemed like he was ready to take over the world, but I guess a lot of these TV auteurs that kind of conquer the world, however briefly,
right?
It seemed like they are poised, but David Chase didn't exactly make the leap to the big screen and dominate the way or revolutionize it the way The Sopranos did on TV. David Simon is not one of the most influential creators, after The Wire's over.
Sure.
You could talk about like David Benioff and Weiss have a whole thing going on. I'm not sure what. Yeah.
Have any of them done that? Have anyone? I mean, Joss Whedon went on to make the Avengers films, and then had to fall off. But I mean, he succeeded.
Yes, first. And then there's sort of a damnatio memoriae thing where he's been stricken from the annals of history, even though he's still the most influential voice in, I guess, global culture. Probably now that I think about it, of this century.
Well, who's left standing then? I mean, Gilligan. Go off and do another show. But beyond that, I don't know. How far back do we go? Chris Carter is, of the X-Files fame, is probably the first one. Really? No. We're like Norman Lear.
Well, David Lynch, I guess.
Lynch, sure. Mm-hmm. I don't know. He's a big asterisk because he's also an auteur filmmaker. Like before
he gets into TV. Yeah. Really, Blue Velvet came before Twin Peaks, I believe.
What we're talking about now is kind of a very big topic. Kind of have a lot of versions of it with asterisks and things that are sort of slantly connected to what we're talking about. This is gonna be hard to pin down.
True. I mean, the people who made the biggest leaps in terms of like going from TV to box office dominance have been sketch comedians.
That's weird, isn't
between,
it? Wow.
Yeah, Jordan Peele and Zach Kreger.
Key and Peele and the whitest kids you know.
Yeah.
Weird.
And kind of the Lonely Island went from, the non Andy Samberg guys. They direct a lot of the like bigger comedies, even as big screen comedies become less of a thing.
That's true. So where does this leave Brad Inglesby and crew here?
I mean, I think comfortably on HBO, making as much sort of Philly crime stuff as he wants to. I don't know what his next thing is.
Neither of these were giant crossover hits. These are, the kind of thing that sustain
those
themselves.
Exist anymore?
Well,
I guess it's like Landman, or like Yellowstone are the big hits.
I guess so. Yeah. It's hard to say. I don't know what a task buys them. Like, I didn't get the sense that this was like, it was like well reviewed and respected, but certainly not like a cultural moment in any way. Less so than even Peacemaker was, probably. Obviously, there's a bigger audience for Peacemaker, I think, right? DC superheroes and such.
I don't know. I didn't see a ton of chatter about Peacemaker outside of like our particular little circles.
Right.
And I've, like what media like websites there are still seemed all pretty, like critically everybody was pretty taken with task.
But it wasn't a True Detective episode. It wasn't a season of True Detective. At least in its, I feel like despite being kind of a piece of shit, Night Country at least was like a hit and people were talking about it and following it as it went on. A piece of shit's harsh, but you know what I mean. Like, not very good.
I do.
Yeah.
But do those happen anymore at all?
Well, for adult shows like this, I don't think so. This isn't even for teenagers, Task. This is for adults, who want to watch a show about adults dealing with adult shit. And that feels rarer.
And I kind of think that if they have any sort of rational expectations or idea of what success means in 2025 for these streaming shows, this should meet the criteria for success.
It should.
I cannot say with any confidence is that anybody has rational expectations or metrics that they use, that shelf entire movies that without releasing them for tax write-offs. And that's not like, I mean, I guess that's a rational economic decision on some level, but in the long run, it seems like a bad way of doing business.
I mean, I get the sense that outside of like extreme examples, pretty much everything that the industry is doing right now is sort of, everyone feels a little bit unsettled and nervous, and there's no real clear indication of success or failure. And just about anything were the superhero movies this summer successes or failures? No one fucking knows. Like, they're probably fine financially. Where's it stemmed to? What position does it place them to make more of them? And I imagine something like this Task. Like, who knows how profits are derived from a streaming channel that you have to subscribe to? Like, did this sell subscriptions? Probably not.
Mayor seems like it had sort of a pop culture moment there. People were having fun with the access and whatnot. I don't know that this even has that, but it's got to help the brand.
I would hope.
Like
they're back to being HBO. They're not just Max anymore. So they're
exactly. they're trying to reestablish some of those bona fides, I think.
Yeah.
And that's got to be what this does. So that's said about rational expectations. If that was the goal here, I think I'd succeeded. There is a time. I mean, this goes past the entertainment industry. It's why our entire economy is a change to an AI bubble that's going to ruin everybody's lives in the next year. But it's that everybody just started saying that only grand slams are worth swinging for and everything else is a failure. And that's not a way to play baseball. You can't actually.
Yeah, you need people on base to get a grand slam, in fact.
And so maybe like if HBO is getting back to some sort of mindset where like doubles are okay, then I think this should be considered a success. But it's not good. I don't know where that leaves Brad Inglesby, except that he seems to have a pretty good relationship there, and I bet we'll see another show from him.
Yeah, and I hope it's a third chapter of the Delco trilogy here. I hope that's a thing. I'm not sure how I'd pitch that. I mean, we've done detective whodunit murder show. We've done sort of, I don't know, what is the genre of this precisely? It's
I mean, like you said, it's Justified thing, or
yeah,
it's not quite a Heat,
no,
but I think maybe the place to go next is spend some time in the actual like city proper of Philadelphia.
Yeah, I'd be into
visit
that.
the inner city. It doesn't have to be entirely there, but
Philly is a great city, and I would think a great shooting location and a place that bleeds its personality. It's so distinctly itself, and I would say a great setting for a thing. Whatever that ends up taking, I'd be into. And if he wants to do, the back road some more, that's fine too, as long as there's a good hook. I'm down for whatever the next one is, for sure. Do we need to see any more of these characters? We kind of played with that as an idea. Probably not, right? I think this is a complete story.
Yeah, we certainly don't need more like Ruffalo. I mean, he could be the Martha Plimpton character and pop up for 3 episodes for one scene each, but we don't need a full arc for him. And yeah, you could elevate Aaliyah to the lead of the next task force in the next season.
She had the least to do.
Also,
she was good, but they seemed least interested in her as a character.
Yeah, but I don't know that you need to like.
No,
I said
like
it can be a spiritual trilogy. It doesn't have to be really connected by plot.
Ideally, yeah. Okay. Well, it's sort of a low stakes kind of take on where this should go. For it's been sort of a chill couple of crime shows that are very good and worth seeking out. Mare or Task? What's your preference?
It's probably recency bias, but I'll go with Task. I like the crime elements of it, which we didn't get a lot of play to. They were kind of more heavily concentrated in the early episodes. They were when Robbie and Cliff were kind of more active. But I had a lot of fun with that, and the cast is pretty. I mean, I guess the cast went pretty deep on Mare too. When I think back on it, that
Mare's really
you had Gene Smart and Julianne Nicholson right around there.
Oh, Gene Smart's great on that.
I can't imagine liking one and not liking the other, really. I guess unless you're just like really into like Murder She Wrote mystery. Whodunit stuff. That's the only reason why you like Mare, really.
I do wish this had like a sort of a overblown theatrical credit sequence. I miss that. I associate that with my HBO limited series runs. Yeah.
If you're going to put it up on Sunday night, that does seem like it should be a requirement going forward. You're right.
I bet the Welcome to Derry one has a very elaborate title sequence.
I want that for you, man.
I want to follow a CGI boat down a.
Oh, you will. You'll all the way out into another realm, like the dimension beyond the deadlands.
Yeah, like a little map that changes the era that we're in as we go by. All that shit. Do it.
With clown faces in the corners of all of them. Okay, we'll be back to talk about Welcome to Derry, I guess, sometime in December.
Yeah, whenever it ends. Okay. All right. Thanks for listening.
Bye, everybody.